Oh my God. It's time to predict the 2025 NHL playoffs. Welcome back everyone to Grizzly Reviews. My name is Garrett and today it is finally time for me to make my bracket for the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs. We've concluded the 2024-2025 NHL season in fabulous fashion. So many great storylines and amazing moments happened this year. And it's finally time for playoff hockey, the best sporting event in the world to happen. So let's get into it. I won't lie, I am feeling the stakes of this bracket much more than I did when I made my video last year. Somehow last year, I got every single matchup right except for one in the first round. If you don't believe me, go watch that video. Look at when that was posted before any games happened. And just be amazed at my brilliance and knowledge of hockey that is totally true and accurate and somehow not like it somehow happened. Even though last year's playoffs were kind of easy to predict, I would say, considering how well I did. All that is to say, it's time to get into our new bracket. So I'm gonna get that set up and we're gonna jump into it. So I am using the official bracket challenge on NHL's website. You have until Tuesday to get your brackets in, so make sure you get into that. So let's get into which teams have made the playoffs this year, and we're gonna get into our predictions after that. So starting in the West, we've got Winnipeg against St. Louis, Dallas against Colorado. I'm really hoping my hands fit where that was. And then you've got Vegas and Minnesota and the Kings against Edmonton Oilers. Over in the East, you've got your Toronto Maple Leafs and your Ottawa Senators, then the Tampa Bay Lightning against the Florida Panthers, the Washington Capitals against the Montreal Canadiens, and the Carolina Hurricanes against the New Jersey Devils. So we're going to start my predictions in the West for the first round because that is the side that I don't know so much about because I'm not really following Chicago because they're just bad. I'm more so following my Florida Panthers. So let's start making predictions. So the first round, we have Winnipeg, the President's Trophy winners of this season, against the St. Louis Blues, who are the second wildcard team. Now, St. Louis had a bit of a rocky start to their season, but they did go on to have a 12-game winning streak in the back half after the Four Nations tournament, while the Winnipeg Jets had a fantastic 15-1 start to their season and held on to their lead in the league hereafter through the end of the season. This matchup is really interesting to me because you have two teams that are really good at carrying momentum in a series of games. You know, with the win streak that St. Louis went on and the success of Winnipeg at the earlier parts of the season, they know how to build that momentum and keep winning, which makes a series like this, whoever gets this first win can possibly knock out the other one very quickly. That is to say, though, I don't think St. Louis is going to beat Winnipeg. I think Winnipeg is going to make it past the first round, and that is going to be my prediction here. Moving on to Dallas and Colorado. These are both great teams. Jason Robertson is out for Dallas in this first round. Colorado just picked up Mikko Rantanen in the trade deadline, so I think this is going to be a fun matchup. I don't know who I want to win or who do I think is going to win just because I think these two teams are super close. Look at these statistics between these two teams. They're so close in points. Goals per game is exact. The goals against per game, Colorado does allow a little bit more goals. They did have a bigger rocky start to their season, but were able to get a huge amount of people with trades. I think they had 9 trades this season, completely reshifting their team into making the playoffs this year, which I think they were going to do it anyways. Knowing Colorado, knowing Nathan McKinnon and who's all that team. I think this is a matchup that could go to 7 games. And I just think that the goalie Ottinger for Dallas is going to really build that team to where I'm going to say Dallas wins this matchup. Am I confident on this pick? No, but I do think having home field advantage in this instance is going to really help this team, but I would not be surprised if Colorado somehow makes it out of the first round. Either way, this is a super, super fun and exciting and thrilling matchup that I can't wait to watch. Moving on to the Vegas Golden Knights against the Minnesota Wild. I am really intrigued with how this matchup is going to play out. I'm just going to say this is a Vegas win from the beginning. I don't think there's a way that Minnesota is going to beat this team, but I am very excited that Marc-Andre Fleury in his last season might be able to come in and relieve and play against his former team. I think just as a storyline perspective, that is really exciting, and I can't wait to see what happens there. Now, if you're having deja vu, you're not the only one, because we have, for the fourth year in a row, the Los Angeles Kings against the Edmonton Oilers. And the Oilers are severely injured. We don't really know the injury status on Draisaitl and McDavid, although McDavid is going to be playing. I haven't looked to see if Draisaitl is playing. I think he is, though. I think it's Matthias Ekholm that the Oilers are missing on their defense, which is a huge miss. And their goalie, to me, is not going to save them. That's why they have such high offense, because they are able to score themselves out of difficult positions. But they haven't had as amazing of a season as they did last year going into the playoffs, which I think is a severe hit to this team. The Los Angeles Kings, on the other hand, I would really enjoy if they make it past this first round. I think Los Angeles is a really fun team to watch, and I think the stakes of having a Vegas and Los Angeles matchup in the second round is way more interesting than anything you could do with Edmonton outside of that. Although the two previous Western Conference Finals winners going against each other in the second round would also make for a great storyline. This is a great example of what I think is wrong with Edmonton and their goalie. Is look at their goals per game and look at their goals against per game compared to what Los Angeles does. There's a 0.4 difference in the amount of goals per game that Edmonton lets in. Again, they have the offense to back that lack in defense and goaltending up. But will that offense show in the playoffs? I don't know. And that is why I'm going to choose the Los Angeles Kings. Moving on to the Eastern Conference. Now, this is a conference I have a lot more knowledge in, just because this is where my Panthers play. And our first matchup is the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Ottawa Senators. This could be a 7-game series. I am super intrigued to see what the Battle of Ontario does. And we haven't had this in the playoffs in forever, because I think it's been 2018 since the Senators were last in the playoffs. But with Brady Tkachuk leading these Ottawa Senators, I have a personal want to see Ottawa make the second round in case my Florida Panthers make the second round, because that matchup would be amazing television. Those two teams absolutely hate each other. But can they make it past the Toronto Maple Leafs? I think that's a great question that we have to consider. I think the meme of Toronto losing in the first round after being the first place team in the Atlantic would be hilarious. The memes and the YouTube videos trashing to the Toronto Maple Leafs would be fantastic. Honestly, these two teams have such similar playing styles where they have great forechecking, and I just don't know if this is Toronto's year. I don't know if they're gonna forever be cursed in the playoffs and never have success. So I kind of really want to coin flip. So I'm going to allow myself one coin flip per round. This is a rule I'm making up now. So I have my Avengers Infinity War coin. I have the Avengers A on this side and the Infinity Gauntlet on the other side. Avengers A will be heads, which is Toronto, and Ottawa will be tails, which is the Infinity Gauntlet. So let's see what we got. And Toronto is going to win this matchup. Unfortunately, I don't love it, but I would really like Ottawa to make it. Maybe next season when they're better, which they're already good, but they can be better next year. The next first round matchup is the one I am most excited for because it is the Battle of Florida. I love that the Atlantic 2 matchups are battles of an area. I think that's fantastic. However, I do not trust my Panthers as much as I do last year. With Tkachuk getting injured at the Four Nations tournament, a lot of new players on our team after the trade deadline, like the Rat, Brad Marchand, and just a lack of consistency with scoring and winning, and we kept sitting players at the end of this season. I really don't know what the Florida Panthers' identity is going into these playoffs, just because they're so inconsistent at playing away. Like, Florida had the chance to win the Atlantic Division, but then we started sitting players because we mathematically were probably going to make the playoffs no matter what, even if we drop down to a wild card spot. So as a whole, I'm nervous going into these playoffs. I was positively surprised that my prediction last year led to so much Panthers success in the playoffs, but I can't have that same bias going into this year because the Tampa Bay Lightning are really good. They got rid of Steven Stamkos after two first round exits the last two playoffs. They got rid of Steven Stamkos. Vasilevsky is back to being his Vezina winning self. Kucherov is still on the team, and Kucherov is crazy good. And I just don't know what can happen in this matchup. I would love my Panthers to win. I would love them to continue on. Tampa winning would absolutely suck. I really think this is such a close matchup. It's truly 50-50. This could go 7 games. I just don't know how my Panthers are going to play, but I can never make a bracket where the Tampa Bay Lightning beat my Florida Panthers, so I am going to have to pick Florida in this matchup. You can call it bias. I don't give a fuck. Just fucking deal with it. I proved myself right having this bias last year. I don't think that bias and proving things is going to happen this year. But let's continue on. The next matchup is the Washington Capitals against the Montreal Canadiens. Washington has home field advantage because they were the top team in the Eastern Conference this year. Amazing storylines throughout this team. Ovechkin's chase for Wayne Gretzky completed this year. He now has more goals than Wayne Gretzky in the same amount of games it took Gretzky to get those goals, which was fantastic. Tom Wilson has had such a surprising season for Washington, although it didn't really translate to fantasy for me. And Montreal, on the other side, is the second youngest team in the league this year, and they had a miraculous season making the playoffs. I think their young talent and their rookie defenseman is truly phenomenal, but against the Capitals, I don't think they're gonna win. But Montreal, you have been a pleasure to watch. I am so glad my Panthers don't have to go against you, because I do think we would lose against Montreal. And then you've got the Carolina Hurricanes against the New Jersey Devils. Now, the Devils are severely injured. Carolina is fantastic in the regular season. I think this is not close whatsoever. I think this is going to be a Carolina win. Alrighty, moving back to the West for the second round, you have Winnipeg against Dallas. These are two really good teams that I just have to make a decision on. Let's take a look at some analysis. So Winnipeg's power play is utterly fantastic. Their power play is great, and Dallas does kind of have a high goals against for them. I think this could be like a really close series. I hate making brackets because it's so difficult to make a decision, but I do think Winnipeg is going to win this round. And then going into Vegas against the Kings, I think this is going to be the Kings' saving grace season. I think this is going to be them getting past their bumps. Vegas is a cup contender, but I just don't see them going on that far. Like, I would like it, but I just don't want them to do it at the same time. Los Angeles has a pretty good defense, while their power play is really not good. So even if Vegas gets a lot of penalties, I don't think that's going to translate to much goals for Los Angeles. I don't want to just keep picking the best team. I'm going to pick the Los Angeles Kings because I think that's the most fun choice for me to make. Now, going into the second round on the East, we've got the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Florida Panthers. This is going to be, if the Panthers make the second round, going to include traveling to Toronto to play against them because we won't have a home field advantage. And I think this is a easy win for Toronto. Again, I really just don't know my Panthers' identity going in to this playoffs. So up next, we have the Washington Capitals against the Carolina Hurricanes. Washington will have home field advantage for this game. And it's another one where I don't know what to pick, I'll be honest. Washington's fantastic. They're kind of old-ish. Carolina is, I think, really deserving some success in these playoffs. I feel like they made the Eastern Conference Final 2 years ago against the Panthers. I don't remember who the Panthers won in the Eastern Conference Final. Could also just put in a Google. But that's 2 years ago. The team could be totally different. I think we could have a major upset here, mostly because I have no idea who Washington's goalie is at the moment. I'm going to say Carolina upsets them this round. And here we are. The conference finals for the West are going to be the Winnipeg Jets against the Los Angeles Kings. I do think the President's Trophy is going to hit its curse again in the conference finals here with the Los Angeles Kings making the finals. I want the President's curse to still exist. I want Chicago to be the only team since, was it 2011 or 2013, where they won the President's Trophy and still won the Stanley Cup. I want it to be forever Chicago. That is the team that makes that happen forever in history. So the President's Trophy curse is going to hit here. They get no trophy whatsoever outside of winning the most points in the regular season. And then in the East, the conference finals are going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Carolina Hurricanes. I want to see Toronto lose again, so I'm going to put Carolina in the finals, which means my Stanley Cup final will be the Los Angeles Kings against the Carolina Hurricanes. And I could see Carolina winning. I could see Los Angeles winning between them. Do I get some analysis between them? I don't think so. This is the iffy pick because I don't know too much about these teams, I'll be honest. This is fully gut feeling. I feel like this could be a Los Angeles King win. It's out of the blue. They're not really like super in that discussion, but I'm going to give it to the Los Angeles Kings, which means the Los Angeles Kings are our winner of the Stanley Cup this year. I wish I could say it's going to be my Florida Panthers. I will be super happy if somehow Florida makes these finals, but nonetheless, I am happy playoff hockey is back. Let's see if I'm correct. Who knows? And I hope you all enjoy the Stanley Cup playoffs. Let me know your predictions down in the comments, and let's come back and see how much I get correct. I think I'm going to be super wrong this year compared to last year, but I think that is going to be where I end this video. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this, please give it a like, and if you want to see more, hit subscribe. Let me know if you want to see some updates as these playoffs go on. I'll be happy to do that. Until then, I will see you all later. Goodbye. In case you're like, Garrett, you hopped on the bandwagon from them being a good team. No, I've been a Panthers fan since 2017, and I'm a fan for life. So make sure you subscribe. Did you subscribe? Have you subscribed? Come on, subscribe. 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 Ow.